we take a good look at the Philadelphia Eagles' current defensive setup, especially the safety group, there's a buzz in the air, and not just because of the young talent already on the roster. There's a real possibility that a seasoned veteran, a legit playmaker with a resume full of accolades, could be eyeing a move to the city of brotherly love. And no, this isn't just another rumor floating around during the offseason lull. There's actual weight behind the idea. The connections are real. The interest is mutual. And if the Eagles decide to pull the trigger, it could be one of the smartest depth moves they make all year. But before we get into that, let's talk about the current cast of characters already wearing midnight green, because they deserve some spotlight. Reed Blankenship. If you're an Eagles fan and don't know his name by now, you haven't been paying attention. The guy is one of the most underappreciated players, not just on the Eagles roster, but in the entire league at his position. He's the kind of player who doesn't need the flash or headlines. He lets his game speak. Instincts, elite, range, sneaky good. Physicality, absolutely. He has a nose for the ball and isn't afraid to come down near the line of scrimmage to take on running backs head on. You see him making crucial open field tackles, reading the quarterback's eyes to jump a route, and setting the tone for the secondary. This guy earned the respect of the locker room and the coaching staff alike. Last year, he was even mentioned as a leadership candidate when one of the team captains moved on. That's not something you throw around lightly. It means the dude has presence. Then there's Sidney Brown. A third-round pick from a few drafts ago, Brown brings something totally different to the table. He popped on everyone's radar during the pre-draft process, crushing athletic evaluations with a mix of speed, explosiveness, and controlled aggression. In his rookie year, you could already see flashes of what he could become. He's a high-energy, high-impact type of player, someone who flies around the field like a missile. But that same intensity can be a double-edged sword. Sometimes he overruns plays, takes poor angles, or bites too hard on misdirection. But that's coachable. And more importantly, it's moldable. The Eagles have the kind of defensive staff that knows how to harness that kind of raw talent. He may not be ideal in the slot due to his short area agility limitations, but in hybrid roles or in the box responsibilities, he could thrive. He's not afraid to hit, he embraces contact, and that energy is contagious. And just recently, the team brought in Andrew Mukuba, another high upside prospect. Mukuba, who played his college ball in Texas, was someone a lot of scouts had pegged as a possible third-round steal, and the Eagles didn't want to take any chances, so they pounced on him earlier. His style of play has drawn comparisons to other big-name safeties in the league, and it's easy to see why. He's got that twitch, that motor, and that willingness to lay it all out on every snap. He doesn't have prototypical size, but his athletic traits jump off the screen. He's also versatile, having spent time at cornerback earlier in his collegiate career. That kind of flexibility is gold for any defense trying to disguise looks or shift coverage schemes on the fly. Mukuba may not be a day one starter, but he could become a valuable rotational piece and a future starter if he develops the way the Eagles hope he will. Now here's where things get even more interesting. Despite this solid trio of young safeties, there's talk of bringing in Justin Simmons, a four-time second-team All-Pro, a former Pro Bowler, and one of the most intelligent, instinctual players at the safety position over the past decade. And we're not just talking about a hypothetical reunion between Simmons and defensive guru Vic Fangio. This is about more than just familiar faces linking back up. Simmons has openly expressed excitement about the idea of joining the Eagles. The man wants to be here. That kind of mutual interest doesn't come along often in the NFL. And when it does, you pay attention. Simmons is currently an unrestricted free agent. And at this stage in his career, he'll turn 32 in November. He's unlikely to command a massive contract. He understands where he's at in his journey, and from all indications, he's looking for the right fit more than the biggest payday. That's the sweet spot for a team like the Eagles. You get proven leadership, a high football IQ, and a playmaker who can mentor the younger guys while still having enough left in the tank to contribute on Sundays. And don't let the age fool you. This guy has been one of the most durable and consistent safeties in the league. Since entering the NFL in 2016, Simmons has played 13 or more games in 8 of 9 seasons. The only year he dipped below that was 2022, 32 career interceptions. That's not just production, that's excellence. He's been a ball-hawking force in the secondary for years, a true field general who understands spacing, timing, and offensive tendencies. The kind of guy who studies film like a coach and applies it on the field like a surgeon. The Eagles could absolutely benefit from that kind of presence, especially after losing key veterans in the secondary. Darius Slay is gone. Other leaders have moved on. And while the young guys have potential, the room lacks that steady, experienced voice. Someone who's seen it all, done it all, and can help anchor the defense in high-pressure moments. Some might argue that adding Simmons could block the development of younger players, but that's a short-sighted take. Simmons wouldn't necessarily be a full-time starter. Think of him as a chess piece, someone who can rotate in, help manage situational packages, and serve as a safety net, literally and figuratively, if injuries hit the position. And let's be honest, injuries happen. It's the NFL. You can't bank on everyone staying healthy through 17 games, and potentially more if you're eyeing a deep playoff run. Having Simmons as part of the equation gives the Eagles a reliable fallback option who also elevates the overall floor of the unit. And then there's the Vic Fangio connection. These two know each other. They've worked together. Simmons played his best football under Fangio's system. If there's one coach who knows how to get the absolute most out of Justin Simmons, it's Vic. So it makes perfect sense that the Eagles front office would at least explore this route. If Fangio gives the green light, you better believe the interest is real. Simmons also has a great relationship with the current defensive backs coach in Philadelphia, a coach who's viewed as a rising star and potentially a future defensive shield coordinator. That kind of synergy matters. Chemistry between players and coaches, especially in the secondary, can be the difference between a busted coverage and a game-sealing turnover. And Simmons, he's the guy who capitalizes on that kind of communication. That's why he's been so effective for so long. Let's not forget what happened last season with him. He signed with a new team relatively late in the process. Around August, he was brought in to help stabilize a defense that had been struggling, and although his numbers weren't otherworldly, there were valid reasons behind it. Learning a new scheme late in the offseason, trying to gel with unfamiliar teammates, and operating within a defense that itself wasn't exactly lighting it up, all of that impacts performance. His PFF grade came in at 59.9, ranking him 113th out of 171 safeties. Against the run, his ranking dipped further to 149th. But in coverage, he still held up reasonably well, posting a grade of 60.8 with 2 interceptions and 4 pass breakups. Not elite, but still solid, especially when you consider he was thrust into a less than ideal situation. Now, imagine him in a system he already knows, surrounded by better talent and familiar coaches. That's a recipe for a bounce-back year. And let's be real, Simmons at 80% is still better than a lot of safeties operating at 100%. Add in the leadership, experience, and intelligence, and the decision becomes pretty clear. The Eagles wouldn't be gambling. They'd be making a calculated investment with minimal risk and significant upside. Also worth noting, the Eagles' defense struggled last season, particularly in pass coverage. They allowed the highest completion percentage in the entire league at 69.9% and gave up 34 passing touchdowns, second most in the NFL. A lot of that comes back to the lack of pass rush, but even so, the secondary just didn't hold up when it mattered most. They couldn't get off the field on third downs, couldn't generate turnovers consistently, and often looked out of sync. That's not a knock on talent, it's a reflection of experience and communication issues. And that's exactly where someone like Simmons fits in. He's the glue that can help bind it all together. It's also important to consider that the Eagles tried to address these issues in the draft, making strategic trades and picks, including bringing in a defender from Georgia and making an aggressive move to secure an extra first-round pick. That's a sign that the front office knows where the weaknesses lie and is actively trying to shore things up. But rookies, no matter how talented, need time. They make mistakes. They learn through trial and error. Having a veteran mentor like Simmons around to guide them, correct them, and help them adjust on the fly would be invaluable. Take a look at last season. The Eagles' secondary, for all its promise and young talent, struggled in key moments. They had games where breakdowns in communication left receivers running wide open. They had leads vanish in the fourth quarter, games that should have been in the bag slipping away due to missed tackles, poor angles, or bad reads. And again, that's not to say the guys in the room now aren't good. It's just that experience matters. Football IQ matters. Being in the right place before the ball is even snapped, that matters more than most people realize. Simmons has been that guy for nearly a decade. He anticipates, he diagnoses, he leads. And you simply don't have a lot of players like that walking around in free agency, especially ones who want to be here. It's also worth pointing out that his connection with Fangio isn't just a nice to have. Bonus, it could be a huge factor in helping this entire secondary stabilize. Fangio's scheme isn't always easy for young players to adapt to. It requires discipline, trust, and an understanding of spacing and leverage. Simmons already knows the playbook. He knows the language. He can be that on-field coach, a translator of sorts between the sideline and the huddle, helping the younger guys get aligned and stay focused. Think about it. If Reed Blankenship is your steady hand, if Sidney Brown is your explosive wild card, and if Andrew Mukuba is your versatile chess piece, then Justin Simmons becomes your anchor. The veteran presence who can cover when needed, tackle when required, and mentor every snap along the way. But let's not pretend Simmons is just some aging vet holding on to past glory. He's still producing. Just a season ago, he was named second team All-Pro for the fourth time in his career. He's tied for the league lead in interceptions in 2 different seasons. And even in a year where things didn't go smoothly, he still managed 2 picks and 4 pass deflections while playing in a dysfunctional defensive unit. You have to look at the context. The team he joined last year had one of the worst pass rushes in the league. They finished dead last in sacks. That kind of environment puts incredible strain on a secondary, especially on safeties. When the quarterback has all day to throw, even the best coverage breaks down. And that's what Simmons was dealing with. Coverage responsibility stretched far beyond what's realistic, no consistent front-end pressure, and a coaching staff that didn't adjust quickly enough. It's no wonder he looked out of rhythm at times. And then there's the matter of cost. Bringing in Simmons doesn't break the bank. He's over 30, yes, but he's also realistic. He's not going to demand a long-term deal or top of the market. Money, what he wants is a fit, a chance to win, a team that respects his experience and still values what he brings to the table. The Eagles check every one of those boxes. They're contenders, they've got a respected coaching staff, and they have a need at his position. Not necessarily as a starter, but certainly as a stabilizer. That's why this move makes so much sense. You're not mortgaging the future. You're not blocking development. You're simply adding a layer of protection. You're getting a guy who's already shown interest, who's already performed at a high level under your system, and who knows what it takes to compete deep into the season. Now, let's take a quick moment to talk about the depth beyond the top names. Because yes, Blankenship, Brown, and Mukuba are the headlines, but what happens if injuries strike again? What happens if a guy goes down in week 6 and suddenly you're starting someone who hasn't taken meaningful snaps all year? That's the danger of relying solely on youth. You need a floor. You need someone who won't panic, who won't get overwhelmed by the moment. Simmons provides that. He doesn't have to be the star. He just has to be solid. And that's something he's done year after year after year. And while we're on the topic of recent history, let's not forget how the Eagles season ended last year. A brutal collapse. A loss to Atlanta that exposed the secondary in a big way. A string of defeats, including games against backup quarterbacks and injury-riddled offenses, where the defense just couldn't rise to the occasion. Those are the moments where veteran presence matters most. When the game slows down, when the tension rises, and when every mental mistake becomes a headline. The Eagles don't just need playmakers. They need leaders. They need guys who have been in those trenches and know how to calm things down, reset the tone, and get back to doing the fundamentals right. And that's exactly what Simmons offers. Fundamentals, discipline, film study, communication, all the unglamorous stuff that wins football games but doesn't always show up in the box score. He's the kind of guy who makes the guy next to him better. He elevates a unit, not just through what he does, but through how he carries himself. And with so many respected leaders having moved on from this Eagles defense, it's the perfect moment to bring in someone who can step into that void. It also helps that Simmons is coming from a culture where professionalism was expected. He's been the face of a defense before. He's spoken at team meetings, helped rookies get up to speed, mentored young corners and fellow safeties. That experience doesn't go away just because a guy turns 32. In fact, it becomes more valuable because now you're not just getting the physical ability, you're getting a coach on the field. And in Fangio's system, that can be the difference between a blown coverage and a forced turnover. So the real question becomes, what are the Eagles waiting for? They've already built a strong safety group, but with a guy like Simmons available and interested, it feels like a move that's just sitting there waiting to be made. And again, this isn't about replacing anyone. This is about supporting everyone, giving the younger players someone to lean on, giving the coaching staff a trusted veteran to plug in as needed, and giving the team a better chance of surviving. The inevitable ups and downs of a long, grueling season. And just imagine what Simmons could do with this front seven. If the Eagles can get more consistent pass rush, which they've invested in through both the draft and free agency, that takes pressure off the secondary and lets guys like Simmons play to their strengths. Sitting back in zone, reading the quarterback, jumping routes, closing on the ball with precision. That's what he does best. That's where he's made his living. Give him just an extra half second thanks to the front four collapsing the pocket, and you'll start seeing those interception numbers climb right back up. And when the playoffs roll around and every possession matters, that kind of play can flip a game on its head. So, yes, the Eagles are in a good place. They've got young talent. They've got a respected defensive coordinator. They've got a front office willing to make aggressive moves to improve the roster. But there's still a piece missing. A glue guy, a closer, a veteran who's hungry, who still has something to prove, and who already knows the system like the back of his hand. Justin Simmons is that guy. And you know what? He wants to be here. That matters. When a player of his caliber says it will be amazing to play in Philadelphia, when he speaks openly about how much he respects the coaching staff and sees himself fitting into the culture, that's not just lip service. That's a veteran who's choosing substance over flash, who's looking for the right opportunity to contribute to something bigger than himself. So if you're the Eagles, the time to act is now. Get it done. Give yourself the security, the leadership, and the insurance policy that comes with adding someone like Simmons to the mix. Whether he's playing 60 snaps a game or just 20 in a specialized role, he's the kind of player who makes a difference. Not just in coverage, not just against the run, but in the locker room, in film sessions, on the sideline, and in those quiet moments before kickoff when voices like his are needed most. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Mon's around to guide them, correct them, and help them. Adjust on the fly would be invaluable. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the NFL and stunned fans across the United States, the Philadelphia Eagles announced the signing of former Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott. The unexpected transfer of one of the league's most recognizable stars not only deepens the rivalry between the two NFC East giants, but also reshapes the landscape of the division heading into the new season. Prescott, who has been the face of the Cowboys since taking over the starting role in 2016, now joins the very team that has been his fiercest competitor. The Eagles, known for their bold front office moves in recent years, have once again proven they're unafraid to make aggressive decisions in pursuit of another Super Bowl title. The acquisition comes amid questions about the long-term health and consistency of their previous starting quarterback. And with this blockbuster deal, Philadelphia sends a clear message. They are all in. For Prescott, the transition marks a dramatic turn in his career. After years of leading Dallas with poise, resilience, and strong performances, his departure is sure to leave a bitter taste for Cowboys fans. His move to the Eagles not only adds fuel to one of the most intense rivalries in professional sports, but also positions him in a system known for dynamic offensive play and a strong supporting cast. The combination of Prescott's experience and the Eagles' explosive talent could be a perfect storm for success. Social media erupted within minutes of the announcement, with reactions ranging from disbelief to elation. Eagles fans welcomed Prescott with open arms, already dreaming of playoff runs and division titles, while Cowboy supporters expressed betrayal and frustration. The NFL community, including former players and analysts, weighed in, calling the move one of the boldest in recent memory. As training camp approaches, all eyes will be on Philadelphia to see how Prescott integrates into the new environment and how this high-stakes gamble will play out. One thing is certain, the next Eagles versus Cowboys matchup just became must-watch television. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.